Wow, a lot. So we released the end of the trilogy for the Blur trailers, so very, very cool. We had a nice big cinematic piece that went up on Friday, I think maybe, that showed like all the cool features of the game. And one of the things it did was teased out the operations, which are our take on raids. Behind closed doors, we've been showing off the videos of those operations themselves. We showed off personal vehicles for the first time, our sort of take on mounts. We've got on the show floor, we did a thing on Alderaan against King Ulgo, which is the boss. You can see behind closed doors. Down here, you can play the Origin Worlds, or you can play Tatooine, come in at level 26, get a speeder, get your companion character. We showed a bunch of new companion characters. We're just like, you know, the last E3, go big. One of the big things was trying to get the really big moments from the movies in ways that you couldn't do in smaller groups. So obviously we want to do the raid thing, we want to do the challenges. A lot of people love having to put that big group together and really get the challenge of how do you coordinate a fight with all these people, with all these things together. At the same time, we want it to be contextual. We want people who do the raids to learn something that other people don't know about the galaxy, about how it works, a little piece of history, whatever. So we try to bring our story in there as well. That doesn't mean we're going to have giant, you know, raid party multiplayer conversations, because that would be awful. Everybody raise your hand who wants this. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. But there's still a lot of really cool story stuff in there. They very much go and they fill questions that you might have had. Like the first raid is the Eternity Vault. And one of the things on Belsavis, you go through this whole giant ancient prison, and a lot of the people never really get the feel of like, all right, so we kind of know who made this place, but why? And why would they make an entire prison planet? What would you need to contain in there? And the Eternity Vault is the answer to that. Unfortunately, the one vault that should have never been opened is opened, and the Republic needs to go down there and try to stop it. The Empire says, whoa, that's a lot of power down there. We should go see if we can tap into that. Yeah, it's really important. One of the things we said, originally we were like, hey, maybe we should do different raids. And so this is the place where the gameplay designers and the guys who know the raids, who are the hardcore raid guys, they always are going to overrule me on these ones, right? And they said, if you do 2 different raids, no matter how you try to balance it, somebody's always going to say, this one is easier, this one has better loot, this one is like, people want, like if they're going to compete in the raid game, if we're going to rank them, if you're going to show who's the better guilds, all that stuff, then they need to be doing the same pieces. So of course I said, all right, but we need to change out the motivations and that stuff. So conversations, story pieces, all of that, the wrapper changes, the core game and what you're competing in stays the same. There are varying operation sizes. There's definitely an 8-man, and there's definitely more than an 8-man. What it turns out to be at the end will be a combination of what is the tech support and what is fun, right? We have a lot of space we need for combat. Our blaster combat takes far more room, and you notice people fly through the air, people get knockbacks. Like, we have to find something that actually works for ours. Right. The other thing that it brings us operation groups, which are not just in the operations. So on Droman Koss in the latest build, I actually already formed an operation group with 10 guys, went and found the world boss of the entire planet, who's 50 feet tall and could stomp you flat in a second. Beat him, took a big picture with everybody in front of him. It's a great, fun moment of MMO stuff. Big groups are fun. I don't know right now. My impression is that yes, that there would be multiple versions of the same one, but it's one you're probably going to have to get Gabe on. The one thing I'll say is our team is really, really into this sort of game. Like, the guys who are on the raid team are the raid guys. If you are a hardcore raiding guy and there are things you love about raiding, they're probably thinking a lot of the same things you're thinking. Again, nothing we've announced so far. Yeah. My guess would be if there is not at launch, there will be very shortly afterwards. You know, like, we're playing the same games. We know what people are looking for. In the mid-20s, but again, you know, all things may change. Things may change from testing. None of these answers should be taken at launch. It's purchased. You got to get a license. Then you can buy multiple speeders. Okay. There are different speeders that have different cool looks. Some are harder to find than others. There are, I got to stop saying faction specifics. They're not necessarily faction specific. They are geared to one faction, but it is very possible, although very difficult, to steal one from the other faction. There are themed ones, as far as we can say right now. There's really not much tradition of atmosphere Like, you know, we don't really have jets in Star Wars. You're kind of speeding around. Even the snow speeders are just a little bit higher. And then after that, you're up in space. So at least for launch, we're not going towards, our worlds are definitely not built for flying mounts. There was never a thought for that. Correct. We needed to do one to really, you know, pull it out, and it works to have your speeder on Hoth. It doesn't really work to have your Tauntaun on Corellia, so definitely not at launch. Anytime you try to grab multiple people and hold them into a fourth state, huge amount of programming issues. Right now they're transportation only. Right now it's just buy another one. My guess is that you'll get ship customization for cosmetics before you get speeder customization. Gotcha.